The Euphrates River finally dried up, but now something has appeared. The Euphrates River is Southwest Asia's largest waterway. Like many other rivers, it is vital to the region's civilizations. For example, the Euphrates has been used to support the growth and development of settlements in the Middle East since around 4000 BC. The earliest civilizations were Sumer and Mesopotamia, and later Babylon and Assyria. The Euphrates is one of the region's two major waterways, the other being the Tigris, and both contributed to the rise of the Mesopotamian Empire. Rivers were a vital source of survival and growth in ancient times, and settlements along rivers can be seen throughout history. In addition, rivers provide new settlers with both food and water. They were later used for farming, trade, and transportation. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers continued to provide water to major cities in the Middle East. But now, this massive river has dried up and revealed some shocking things. Hello, and welcome back to The Abandoned Archaeologist again, the channel to learn all about ancient archaeological findings. Today we will discuss the Euphrates River and its hidden treasures. But before we begin, to get your attention, we have a question that you can answer at the end of the video by watching it. What was Babylon's legal system like? So write down your answer in the comment section and see if you got it right. Here we begin. The river once split into many channels at Basra, forming a vast marshland. They once covered 15,000 to 20,000 square kilometers and were a fine and extensive natural wetlands ecosystem developed over numerous years in the Tigris-Euphrates basin. Since the 1970s, between 84 and 90% of the marshes have been destroyed, according to the UN Environmental Program and the AMAR Charitable Foundation. Saddam Hussein's regime destroyed 60% of the wetlands in 1994. They were drained to allow military access and greater political control over the indigenous marsh Arabs. Instead of allowing the water to flow slowly through the marshes, canals, dikes, and dams were built to route water from the Tigris and Euphrates rivers around them. After a section of the Euphrates was dried up due to its water being rerouted to the sea, a dam was built to prevent water from backing up the Tigris and sustaining the former marshland. In addition, some marshlands were burned, and underground pipes carried away water to allow faster drying. The drying of the marshes resulted in the extinction of salt-tolerant vegetation. These plankton-rich waters fertilized surrounding soils. 52 native fish species, wild boar, red fox, buffalo, and marsh waterbirds. The drainage policy has been reversed since the 2003 U.S. invasion of Iraq, but it remains to be seen whether the marshes will recover. Islamic prophecies. Some hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad in Islam suggest that the Euphrates River will dry up, revealing unknown treasures that will cause strife and war. Soon, the Euphrates River will reveal the treasure, the Gold Mountain. So, whoever is present at that time should make no assumptions. Bukhari, Sahih. According to the Prophet Muhammad, the hour will not arrive until the Euphrates River has dried up, revealing the mountain of gold for which people will fight. 99 out of 100 will die in the fighting, and every man among them will say, "Perhaps I may be the only one to remain alive." Sahih Muslim and Bukhari. According to the Prophet Muhammad, the Euphrates reveals its hidden treasures. Anyone who sees it should not take anything away from it. Al-Mutaki al-Hindi. Page 28 of Al-Buran fi Al-Mat al-Madi, Akhir az-Zaman. The Euphrates will reveal a mountain of gold beneath it. From Sunan Abi Dawud. Euphrates in the Bible. According to Genesis chapter 2 verse 14, one of the four rivers that flow from the Garden of Eden is the Pirath, Hebrew for Euphrates. This Hebrew word, which can be translated as stream or to break forth, has been translated as the Euphrates. It is the fourth river to form from the river flowing out of the garden. Following the Pishon, Gihon, and Tigris, Hebrew name is Hiddekel. The same named river defined one of the borders of the land promised by God to Abraham and his descendants through Isaac and Jacob. It is often referred to simply as the river, Ha-Nahar, in the Hebrew Bible. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram and said, To your descendants I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates. Genesis chapter 15, verse 18, NIV. The Euphrates is created by God. Tigris is the name of the third river, which flows east of Ashur. The Euphrates is the fourth river. Genesis chapter 2, verse 14. God promises the Israelites the promised land via Moses. Every location where you set your feet shall be yours. Your borders shall extend from the wilderness to Lebanon, from the Euphrates River to the western sea. Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 24. The Euphrates is prophesied to dry up in preparation for the Battle of Armageddon in Revelation chapter 16, verse 12. And the sixth angel poured out the vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Prophecies of it drying up. The Euphrates River, which runs through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, and is part of the Fertile Crescent, is a primary landmark in Scripture and a valuable resource in the Middle East. Unfortunately, the Euphrates River water level has dropped dramatically recently. The Euphrates River drying up has revealed several ancient ruins and a cave. Some see the drying riverbed as fulfilling the Bible's end-of-the-world prophecies. But this is not new or surprising, as it was already predicted that the Euphrates River would dry up, according to two Bible passages. The first prediction is part of a long oracle directed at Babylon. God judged Babylon's officials and wise men, as well as its false prophets, warriors, horses, and chariots and treasures. The second prediction of the Euphrates River drying up is part of Revelation's 7 bowl judgments. The 7 seals, Revelation chapter 6, verses 1 through 17, and chapter 8, verses 1 through 5. The 7 trumpets, Revelation chapter 8, verse 6 through chapter 9, verse 21, chapter 11, verses 15 through 19. And the 7 bowls are the judgments of the 7-year tribulation, Revelation chapter 16, verses 1 through 21. The bowl judgments occur at the end of the tribulation and are so destructive that all human life would perish if they continued. Mark chapter 13, verses 19 through 20. The 6th bowl judgment, the tribulation's penultimate judgment, is the drying up of the Euphrates River. The 6th angel poured out a bowl on the great river Euphrates, and the water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east, says Revelation 16, verse 12. This prophecy not only identifies the judgment, but also explains why it is necessary, so that a large army from the east can cross the Euphrates without difficulty. The earth's kings then gather to the place known in Hebrew as Armageddon, Revelation chapter 16, verse 16. At that point, Jesus returns, and the Battle of Armageddon will result in the annihilation of all of God's enemies. Revelation chapter 16, verses 17 through 20. Chapter 19, verses 11 through 21. The Euphrates River drying up is a key event leading up to Armageddon. Is this the setup for the fulfillment of a major end-of-the-world prophecy? It is drying up. According to a government report, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, which flank Iraq, are expected to dry up by 2040 because of low water levels and climate change. According to the report, climate change contributes to rising temperatures and erratic rainfall, raising fears of water shortages in Iraq. According to the report, the country's water imports during the summer are estimated to be around 40 billion cubic meters, implying a 30% reduction in water, resulting in Iraq receiving 11 billion cubic meters per year. According to the report, the country will face severe drought by 2025, with the Euphrates River almost completely drying to the south and the Tigris River becoming a watercourse with limited resources. According to reports, residents of several villages are preparing to leave their ancestral lands due to water scarcity and the unsustainable agriculture on which they rely. What do you think of this mighty river drying up? Comment your views. And the answer to our question is Hammurabi's Code. Subscribe for more.